Greetings, shavers and shavettes. Welcome back to another video. As you can see, I still have my winter face on because it's still winter. I have been wanting to get more videos out for a very long time now, and this is a series that I've wanted to do for almost as long. So I thought I might as well get it going. This is going to be a video aimed more for those people who are just thinking about getting into wet shaving. Some ideas, some of my opinion and my experience on making your first purchase. If you have been around wet shaving for a while, though, please feel free to hang out and leave some comments if you think uh, you have better ideas or if you disagree with any of my opinions. Feel free to let everybody know. I've got some websites set up in the back, so let's take a look. Now, this is likely going to be quite a long video, so I will leave timestamps in the video description so you can jump around a little bit and get to the topic that interests you most. And the things that we'll be taking a look at is where to buy your gear and, of course, what type of gear. I've got that broken down into some sections, what you need to have, what might be nice to have, and then just some non-shave specific items. They aren't made just for shaving, but might give you a more enjoyable experience. Let's take a look. All right. So, section one, where should you look for your gear? If you're lucky enough to have a local brick and mortar shop that sells a good variety of wet shave items, definitely check them out. Take advantage of that. You can also check some of the bigger stores like Walmart, Target, stores like that are starting to carry a little bit of basic supplies. Definitely a good idea to browse those when you can. And then don't forget the little drugstores as well, especially the smaller locally owned drugstores if you still have any of those around. Sometimes they do stock items for some of their longtime customers. Maybe those folks are a little bit older and still never went away from the wet shaving. So they'll stock a little supply of things for them as well. For most of us, we're going to have to go to the internet. There's all kinds of places in the internet. Just a couple that I'll be showing you here. Let's take a look. As I'm sure you guessed already, you can definitely go to Amazon to find all kinds of items. I've just got the homepage here. You can find everything you want of all kinds of different quality. The next place we'll be taking a look at is some shave specific sites. Again, there are a lot more. These are ones that I've used frequently and that I enjoy using. We've got ItalianBarber.com, Canadian company, all kinds of different things to choose from. We've got Bull Goose Shaving. The Bull Goose is going to be a little higher end things. Depending on your budget, you may not find what you're looking for your first purchase at Bull Goose, but definitely bookmark this site. And of course, we've got West Coast Shaving, probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, shave specific websites out there. All kinds of items range from very budget to luxury items. Definitely worth checking them out as well. Okay, so the types of gear. We're going to start with the need to have items. You need a razor, you need blades, you'll need a brush, and you'll need a soap or a cream of some sort. We'll talk about those a little bit. So, with your razor, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a high quality razor. West Coast Shaving, Italian Barber, they've both contracted with some companies to make some really nice, but at the same time, very budget conscious razor options that I think are great for any starter. What you'll want to look for your first razor is really the aesthetics. Do you like the way it looks? Can you see yourself enjoying using that razor every single day? Most of these house brands are going to be more of what we call mild. They're a little bit gentle. They're a little more forgiving with your poor technique that you're probably going to have for quite a while when you first start shaving. But taking a look, I'm just going to sort from price low to high here. Not saying that you should buy the lowest priced item, but I'm also saying that you're probably going to get a good item, especially here at West Coast Shaving. Looks like we're starting at about the $17 range. All kinds of different shapes, some different, looks like we got a wooden handle there, some different wooden handle options, some blackout versions. Got some nice bare brass. Find a razor that you're going to like. When you take a look at reviews, don't go off of an individual review, but see if, in general, does that particular razor get pretty good reviews. It won't guarantee that you won't have a one off that suffers poor manufacturing quality, but your chances of enjoying that razor are probably going to be better. So, all kinds of choices here at West Coast. Bull Goose has some really nice razors again. Bull Goose, like I said, is going to be maybe a little more high end. In fact, let's take a look and we'll do the same sort and just kind of see where they start. Don't shy away from these. So, some Mercure, definitely some good razors, great options for a starter. All kinds of different options here. Italian Barber, again, they've got their uh, contracted house brands as well. Definitely reliable. If you go to any of these sites or any of the other specific websites for wet shaving, probably not going to go wrong with any razor that they offer. They're wet shavers too. They're not going to offer you anything that would be terrible. Now, personal opinion, of course, you may not like it when somebody else does, but that's where you're going to have a look. So take a look, see what you like, see what looks good to you. Let's just take a quick look at Amazon here. I'm going to go ahead and sort just for the sake of it. Well, let's leave it because sometimes Amazon searches are a little bit wonky. So we're running about 30 bucks. Here's that $17 mark again. Like I said, especially on Amazon, you're not necessarily looking at reviews as individual reviews, but in general, 4.5 out of 5 stars. That's probably going to be a reliable razor. We've got some that are pretty inexpensive. If your budget allows to, there's no reason why you shouldn't jump up to a very expensive luxury razor. You're still going to have to learn it. That learning curve can be steep for some people, but it's all up to you. Make sure you're happy with the razor that you buy. Now, of course, that razor is going to do you no good unless you have some blades. And this is probably going to be the most tricky of any of the variables to really pin down and find out what you like. The same blade for one person might work really nice and be their favorite. Another person, it's terrible and they don't ever want to use it again. This is where it can be a little weird. Now, even if you do get a razor, like for example, we've got this long handled double edge. I don't know whose brand that is, but they're probably manufactured in the same place as most of the other ones. Sometimes they will come with razors or with blades, excuse me. I still recommend buying some blades. You may not like these, they may not work good for you. So, having that backup just in case is a good idea. When it comes to the blades, the sample packs, I'm a little torn on how I feel with a new shaver getting into a sample pack. A lot of people recommend it, and you can get into sample packs pretty inexpensive. When you're just starting, though, you're not going to be able to know the difference between poor technique or a blade that doesn't work well for you. My personal recommendation would be to stick to one brand to get your technique down. Even if maybe you're not having the best shave or the shave that you were hoping to have, work on that technique for a while before you can start to blame the razor or blame the blade. Nothing wrong with buying a sample pack, but stick to that individual brand. Ratings again, same idea. Don't take an individual rating that they're going to be all over the place, but look at in general. Again, with sites like West Coast Shaving, Bull Goose, with Italian Barber, the blades they sell are probably not going to be very low quality blades. When we get into Amazon or any other website that's not specific to wet shave gear, here's where we're maybe a little iffy. Did a company repackage just some utility blades as blades for shaving? Here's where you're getting into kind of that unknown. As long as you stick with, and it doesn't have to be any of these three, as long as you stick with a website that sells specific shave items, you're probably going to be okay. I would say don't switch blades until you've used 5 blades. Now that's not 5 shaves, 5 blades. By the time you go through 5 blades, which might give you 2, 3, maybe 4 shaves, depending on your exact situation, by the time you've gone through that, you should be starting to develop some good technique. And now you can start to decide you don't know if that blade was causing issues. Let's go ahead and try a new one and see what happens. If that shave gets worse, try it for at least 2 shaves just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. If it's still not good, move on to the next. If you get a blade that you do like, again, make sure you're consistently using that blade to make sure that it wasn't just a one off on your shave and you know for sure what type of blade you like. All right, you've got your razor picked out. You've got it loaded up with the blade of your choice. Now we're going to have to start building some lather in order to shave. And the first thing you'll need for that is a brush. So, primarily, brushes come with one of three materials. There are some others, but they're not quite as common. You're going to see badger, boar, or a synthetic fiber. I recommend going with badger for your first brush. It's going to give you the most consistent results right off the bat. Uh, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can if you want, of course. There's nothing wrong with a boar brush. They can make very nice, very easy to make lather. They do take a little time to break in, though. You may have to use it for a month, 2 months, maybe even more before that break in gets to a point where it's giving you the most that that brush can possibly give you. You don't really get that with Badger. Now, there's also synthetic. If you have any sort of an issue with using an animal hair or an animal bristle, go for synthetic. I've tried a lot of synthetic brushes over the years, the different generations, the different versions of the fiber itself. I don't like them nearly as much as a nice boar or badger brush. You can also find horsehair brush or any combination of any of the natural hairs. Again, I like horse. It's pretty nice, but it is a little more of a unique experience compared to the rest. Not quite as easy to use, not quite as quick to pick up. So for your first brush, I recommend going with Badger. After that, again, you're going to look at whatever brush looks nice to you. There's not a lot to recommend for your first brush. West Coast Shaving has their own line of brushes. Here's the synthetic knots, the synthetic version. We've got some Badger brushes here. Looks like starting at $38. Pick a style that looks nice to you. Pick a material that looks nice to you. And make sure you're going to be happy with this brush. Hopefully, you'll be using it for a very long time. Okay, and now on to our last item of the need to have some sort of soap or a cream, obviously specifically made for shaving. Now, it doesn't make any difference. Every once in a while, people will say, well, this brush is good for cream, but not for soap. This brush is good for soap, but not for cream. I just think they're not using it properly. There's no difference in brushes. There's no soap brush, there's no cream brush. As long as you have a brush made for shaving, you can use either soap or cream. Now, just taking a look here again, my recommendation is going to be to go with a soap to start with and to go with a hard soap to start with for a couple of different reasons. Now, a lot of what we've talked about already has been to make getting into shaving as easy as possible. It does sound maybe a little weird for those who've been around to recommend a hard soap to start with. It goes backwards from the rest. It is going to be a little more of a learning curve to build a nice, firm lather, protective lather with a hard soap. But I think that's where, when you're first starting, you want to be able to see that. You need a very clear difference what makes poor lather versus what makes good lather, how it looks, how it feels. The softer soaps that are out there, or the croaks as some people call them, that kind of a mix between the consistency is somewhere between a cream and a hard soap. They are really nice products. They can be pumped full of fragrances if that's what you want. They're easy to use. I think that's, for a brand new wet shaver, though, that's kind of its downfall. They're so easy to use that you're not learning proper technique. You're not learning to make the most out of that lather. There's very little difference in the look from one of these soft soaps between a poor lather and a really high quality lather. I want you to be able to see that difference, see that evolution of maybe starting with too much water, not enough water. What does the soap look like, or what does the lather look like when it's ready to go? A hard soap is going to give you that best choice. All kinds of different hard soaps. Again, I would stick to the specific shave sites. You can find some of these on Amazon. If you want to do some price comparison, that's fine. We'll just take a look and see what comes up here. Amazon is going to have anybody who can put in a bulk order from China for some soap, slap a label on there that says it's shaving soap, Clearly, not everybody does that, but again, you don't really know exactly what you're getting. A lot of people do like the glycerin soaps. In this case, again, I'd recommend staying away from glycerin. Not only is that hard soap going to give you more of an evolution from a bad lather to a good lather, but it's also going to last the longest out of any of the choices you have: cream, soft soap, or glycerin soaps. And in the beginning, you're going to want to practice. The only way to learn how to build a good lather is to practice, try it out, building a lot of bad lather before you get to the good stuff. That hard soap is going to give you the most value, the most bang for your buck. You'll be able to practice a lot longer on a puck of hard soap than you will on a tube of cream. Now, unlike some of the other products, I will briefly run down a list of soaps that I would certainly recommend to a new wet shaver. I'm recommending these soaps not because they're the best, but I think they'll give you the best opportunity to learn and enjoy your experience while you're learning. Unlike some of the other items, there's so many soaps and so many creams on the market, especially if we're looking at Amazon or any other just kind of generic site. It's going to get easy to get caught up. So, taking a look, any of the Razor Rock, What the Puck line hard soaps have been fantastic for me. Any of those work nice. The Fine Accoutrement, their line of hard soaps is really nice. I absolutely love Arco. You can buy it in a puck or in a stick. Arco does have a pretty intense scent that some people don't like. It kind of smells like a lemon or a citrus cleaner. At that price, though, you're probably okay to try it out if you're not quite sure. With a soap, I would recommend, if your budget allows, to buy two. Okay. Just in case something does come up to where either the ingredients irritate you or the scent is just not what you're interested in. That way, you've got a backup. And the soaps are pretty inexpensive, but they will give you some really great results. Also, as far as quality hard soaps, anything from DR Harris is going to be really nice. You can save some money going for the refill, and this goes for any brand. You can save some money going for the refill option instead of the option that comes in its own bowl. You can probably find a bowl around the house. We'll touch on some of that stuff later in the video. But if your budget aligns and if you like the way the bowls that come with the soap look, feel free to jump onto those as well. Last few words about soap here is going to come down to, again, your personal preference, the scent. I don't know what you like. Maybe you don't even know what you like. The recommendation I'd make as far as scent is try to get something very simple, very generic. Vanilla, for example. Lilac, lavender, something that is a normal, natural scent, something that maybe you're familiar with. Doesn't guarantee that that company makes that exact, we'll say, lavender scent in the way that you like it, but it does increase that chance that you're going to enjoy the product. If you are sensitive to chemical ingredients of any kind or fragrances of any kind, definitely look. There are a good amount of unscented options. Not to say that those soaps don't have any smell to them, but there's no fragrance specifically added to be the scent. That may be a good option for you as well. We've got our need to have items out of the way. From here on out, it's going to be pretty much your personal preference. One of the nice to have items, basically anything that falls into this pre shave or aftershave products. If you're already shaving, you'll probably have some of these. You don't need anything different. You don't need anything specific for wet shaving that you can't buy locally. Where we're getting into some of this stuff is more the luxury type of items. I don't use any sort of pre-shave, no oil, no special pre-shave soap, for example. Uh, Nothing before my shave, just a splash of hot water, and that's the best that I get with my experience. Not to say that you shouldn't buy them, but if you're not using anything pre-shave already, probably not going to need to have a pre-shave item after you get into wet shave. Same with aftershaves. Generally, all I use as a post-shave item is some moisturizing aftershave in the wintertime when the air is so dry. Again, me personally, I don't use a lot of it. you're going to know, like I said, especially if you're already shaving with some cartridges or electric, you'll know what you like to have for an aftershave product. Not going to have to buy anything special just for wet shaving. One thing I will recommend, especially depending on how important or how detailed your looks need to be, would be to find a styptic pencil. Styptic pencil is probably going to be the most likely item that you'll be able to find in a brick and mortar store near you. But of course, you can buy them online at any number of websites. The brand, the style, the size isn't going to matter very much. They're basically the same material used pretty much in the same way. When you start wet shaving, pretty much guaranteed that you're going to see an increase of nicks and cuts, at least in the beginning. That styptic pencil is going to be very handy to stop those right away and get you moving on your day without having to wait for a nick to heal. And in the last category that we'll talk about is the non shave specific items, stuff that you probably have around the house. Not necessarily anything you need to have a shave, but stuff that might contribute to your enjoyment of the shaving process. As you can see here, all of the websites are going to have quite a selection of different bowls and mugs. You don't need anything that's sold as a shave mug or a shave bowl. Any bowl that you have at home that will fit your soap is going to be just fine. Any cup that you have that you can build a lather is going to be just fine. Obviously, you can go and spend a lot of money on these things if you'd like, but you absolutely do not need to. Another thing is going to be, and these are maybe a little more shave specific, but some sort of stand for either your razors or for your brushes. Not needed by any means. You can certainly use anything you have around the house already that can rest a razor or hold a brush. All kinds of different accessories from the different websites and Amazon. Another non-specific shave item is towels. That's one that you'll probably have, but you might want a nice specific shave towel. For me, I do have a bunch of shave towels that I use pretty much just for shaving. Not so much to give myself like a hot towel treatment, but that I use every day, change out. My very favorite shave towel of all is just the generic, sold as general purpose microfiber cloths. If you do want to have a hot towel treatment, they'll hold a lot of water. They'll keep that heat up against your face. They're great for wiping down the sink and the counter, getting rid of any water. I've got one folded up on my sink every time I shave, just so I can grab it if I need to dry my hands. Some razors can be a little bit slippery, especially with wet hands, so I make sure that I have that option. And then the fiber, the microfiber itself, I think works the best out of anything I've tried to quickly wipe down the razor to remove any sort of soap scum or residue that's left over after my shave. Again, we're looking at value here. I've got a ton of these. I've tried the ones from, the big brands that sell with their logo, things like that. I don't see any advantage to a regular towel that they would sell as a shave towel over the microfiber. I'd say if you have these, use them. I think you'll be very happy with them. All right, so there we have it. Of course, we could have went into a lot more detail on all of the topics, and there are plenty more topics that could have gone into the video, but I was hoping to make it as brief as possible and still be a useful video. The information applies to anybody wanting to get into wet shaving, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you have shaved previously, or this is your very first time you're even thinking about shaving at all. Everything still applies. Let me know what you think. Did you get some good ideas out of this video? Would you have recommended something different to a brand new wet shaver getting ready to place their very first order? I am hoping to make this more of a series of videos specific to brand new people getting into wet shaving. So if you have any ideas or any questions or information that you'd like to hear me talk about, please feel free to let me know. That's all I have for you today. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I sure do appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. Hi. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andy. This is Mr. Guys Razors, and welcome to Not Even a Knife.